I first met our enthusiastic speakers today, Jaime and Liz, about a year ago when they approached me on what is a global grant all about. Both ladies grew up in Minnesota. Oh, and before I forget, they brought a guest, Chrissy, who is also participating in some of this. Would you just stand up and be recognized, Chrissy? Chrissy's leaving here for the Mall of America to go on that tightrope walk and then to the airport. So both Liz and Jaime grew up in Minnesota. They both attended Hamline University in St. Paul, and they both are familiar with Rotary because they are International Rotary volunteers. I didn't know there was a program like that, but apparently there is, and that's how they got involved through the Robbinsdale Rotary Club. Jaime is from Robbinsdale, and Liz is from Winstead, Minnesota. Jaime's college degree is in global studies and minored in political science and Spanish. Liz studied cultural anthropology and philosophy, and also attended the Art Institute studying cultural arts and management. And she also worked as an executive chef. Jaime developed her talents in teaching here in the Twin Cities by working with the underprivileged and neglected students here in St. Paul. Both ladies are passionate about community service, which led them to creating Future Roots. Future Roots is an international project bringing educational and artistic opportunities to the impoverished communities of Nicaragua. Future Roots also assists in implementing health initiatives to improve the quality of life in Nicaragua. These strong women have dedicated themselves to the Nicaragua project, and they wanted to share it with you, what they're doing in Nicaragua, to our club today. They are both members of the Rotary Club of Granada in Nicaragua, so please give a warm Rotary welcome to Rotarians Elizabeth Dahl and Jaime Belden.
Thank you so much, you guys. We're really happy to be here today. Thank you, Don and Andrea, for helping us do this. That was definitely the nicest introduction we've ever had. Thank you so much. He got everything right, everything really well done. So we're really excited to be back visiting with different Rotary clubs. We live in Nicaragua 10 months out of the year where we are Rotarians, and we come back for 2 months and check in with all our clubs and community here and give a report back. So Future Roots Project is an international project bringing educational and artistic opportunities to impoverished communities and educators in Nicaragua. We also aid in the implementation of several health initiatives to improve the quality of life and the living conditions. So one of the hardest things for me to explain when we come back, we work in Nicaragua in the school system and education system, is how different it is than the schools here. We're all really used to schools that we went to. So just to try to paint a picture that's a little bit accurate, Nicaragua is the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, so that creates a lot of challenges for the Ministry of Education. We don't have enough schools, we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough resources, including water. 50% of the schools in Nicaragua don't have running water, which makes it very difficult to keep the school clean, to keep the kids healthy, to flush toilets, to maintain things. So we do deal with some really big challenges, but we really like it. These are just two examples of kind of the realities of the school systems in Nicaragua. So this is the textbook that all of the kids use in Nicaragua to teach them about their bodies. This is the female anatomy, and this is labeled that this is the ovary and that the vagina is up here on this side. So this is just kind of a representation of inaccurate textbooks, outdated textbooks, but also more inaccurate than even outdated. And the question that went along with this assignment was, why is it important for humanity for girls to continue to have babies? Instead of here, you might have a question like, what steps need to happen for a baby to be conceived, or what steps would you take to avoid a pregnancy if you were trying to? So this is just kind of one of the realities. Another sad reality is because we don't have money for resources, even such simple things as photocopies, this poor kid's homework was to copy the periodic table of elements by hand. So we just caught him over here using, stencils and all of these things. So that's really representative of schools in Nicaragua. Copying, repetition, memorization. That's where they're at. No emphasis on critical thinking or multi-step problem solving, We're really, it's a different system. And so what we do is we go in and we look for solutions. We go into classrooms that look like this. Those are all the materials over there on that table in those boxes. This is the classroom that we work in the Laguna de Apoyo. And so what we do is we go in and find sustainable solutions, because this is a preschool room. Kids in preschool should be playing, using their imagination, learning how to write their names. These things don't cost tons of money. We know that we can do better with very little resources. This was the first day of school, and kind of a typical day when we first got there. So we have broken toys, garbage, kids eating, and this was how kids were playing. And they were happy, and it was good. It wasn't the end of the world. But we went in and we organized all of the materials. We taught the kids a lot how to, I think the next slide. We taught the kids how to organize their materials. So here we have, this is a little clear container that bedding usually comes in, and we taught the kids how to organize the blocks. Now they take care of them. We taught all the kids how to write their names using a page protector and a dry erase marker. You know, it's not rocket science. So now all the kids are more prepared and ready to become readers. And when we first started this project, we couldn't have put any books in the preschool room. All the books I found were destroyed. They were ripped up. They were drawn on. So we collected those broken books, sat down with the kids, talked to them, showed them the books, showed them the good books too, our nice books. We have a really nice library in the school. And talked about how do you turn pages? Why don't we draw in these books? How come we can draw in notebooks but we can't draw in regular books? Things that we might take for granted here. But if you don't have books in your house, and if your parents don't read to you every night, you don't really have that knowledge. So now we can leave all of the books out, and the kids love to read, and so we're really creating a culture of reading where it didn't exist before.
So this is what our room looks like now. We had to do a deep clean of the room. It took us about 3 days, hauling water from the lake up so that we could clean. I cleaned and sanded and painted the old boards that were in the room. They probably hadn't had paint on them in 30 years. We organized materials and added learning tools throughout the room, such as, will you point to the table? So the tables, they have little placemat settings on them now, so the kids can play house and they eat at that table. The mural in the middle was done in a collaboration with a couple of local artists in Nicaragua, and the mural has changed the dynamics of the classroom significantly. It's unleashed creativity in our students, it's promoting learning, it's opening up the imagination of our students, and we should never underestimate the power that art has to transform a space. Our kids are so in love with the little boy who's reading a book. They all want to read books now because the little boy in the painting reads books, and it's beautiful. On top, in addition to the work that we do in the schools every day, we also work on 2 Rotary health initiatives. One being this dental brigade that comes down from Grand Prairie, Texas. We don't have too much time to talk about them. However, they've been down the past 2 years. We saw 500 kids in 3 days last time they were down. So they do phenomenal work, and we're looking forward to seeing them again in March when they come down. We also work on a clean water project with the Muskogee, Oklahoma Club. Dahl Ward is the president of the foundation, and he found us in Nicaragua. He does an awesome bucket filter project that provides clean water to thousands of people in Nicaragua and rural Nicaragua. If you guys want to know more about that, just contact us. He was just here. We just dropped him off at the airport yesterday, so we're working on getting things together for next year.
Awesome. So our philosophy, again, excuse me, is that we don't need a lot of money to make a really big difference in Nicaragua. Dahl's water filters cost $35, including the bucket and the filter, and that changes people's lives. And the same thing with the things that we do in the classroom. We can make a lot of difference, and we don't need an iPod for every kid or anything like that. This is one of the materials that we use. They're bottle tops that have been painted, and we use them as flashcards, because all of the things, tools, resources, strategies we use, we're using to design for Nicaraguan teachers. We don't want to bring a lot of stuff from here, because that really won't help anyone in the long run in Nicaragua. And we do really think a lot about sustainability when we plan our projects. So now we have a really exciting new opportunity. We've seen such great results in our classroom. The Ministry of Education has asked us to collaborate with them and do teacher trainings for this group of 137 first grade teachers in Granada, Nicaragua. So that's all of them. So we went and we gave a short, maybe hour and a half long presentation about music in the classroom and how important it is to use music. And when we don't have fun in school and when we're stuck in this old way of memorizing, music is one of the most fun, free, entertaining and educational things that we can do. So we gave a really dynamic presentation and they really liked it. And they asked us if we would come back every month to their monthly trainings. So the last Friday of every month, all of the teachers gather and they've asked us if we would help train them around different topics, including, but not limited to, classroom management tools, organizational strategies, literacy, music, educational games, and recycled art projects. So I would just like to, I guess, say the Ministry of Education really is trying. And the proof is that they've invited us and that they're so willing to try new things. And so this is an opportunity that we really, really don't want to pass up. So part of our time back here is fundraising money for this next initiative here in the district.
So we've challenged ourselves this year when we came back to visit as many Rotary clubs in District 5950, right? Okay. We had a fundraiser this weekend. We're still whirling. So, so what our goal was for ourselves is to raise $10,000 within the district to go back and do teacher trainings for the next 10 months with these teachers. We like she had said, like Jamie had said, we have the opportunity to reach 137 educators. With that, with their average class size, we reach about 10,000 students. So $10,000 averages out to be about $1 a student. And so we would like to submit a formal proposal to your board to see if your club would like to participate in our fundraising goal. And we're really, really looking forward to it. We also went really fast. We do a lot in Nicaragua, and we live there, but we wanted to take the opportunity to take your questions about what we do. So if anyone had any questions, please feel free to ask.
How's the safety issue for you girls?
I feel safe in Nicaragua every day. I think it's the safest country in Central America. And I mean, we can walk everywhere. We live in a community of 500 people, so we know everyone in our community, which is wonderful. And I don't know, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, statistically, it is the safest country in Central America. There's way more. I mean, just like everywhere, it could happen anywhere. It could happen in New York City, it could happen in Minneapolis. But I feel like she said, where we live in a rural community, I have never felt safer in my whole entire life. We can leave anything out at our house. There's dogs, so at night, if anyone's coming, you hear them.
About some of the larger cities, do you spend any time in those?
Yeah, so we live about 25 minutes between two big cities, between Granada and Masaya. We spend most of our time when we're not in the rural community in Granada. So this large group of teachers, they're all in Granada, in the big city that has about 100,000 people. The biggest city is Managua, and we never go there. And that might be another reason why we feel very safe.
You talked about these problems. Is that all Nicaragua or just the rural part or some areas?
It's a really good question. So he asked about the schools and the situation, the realities. Is that everywhere in Nicaragua or mostly in the rural communities? I would say the rural communities suffer more than any other. There are very good private schools in Nicaragua. I would say there's a private Waldorf school, there's some other private schools, but they're expensive, so not everyone has the chance to go. There are some scholarship programs, but the far majority of the schools are very much like that. And the rural communities really suffer just because of lack of resources and things like that.
Is the school free for the kids? Do they wear uniforms? And what grades?
Okay. Yes, it is free. The public schools are free for all kids. They do usually wear uniforms, but it's not required. Recently, the government said no because that was a reason why parents weren't able to send their kids to school. A lot of parents still only want to send their kids if they're in a uniform. There's kind of a stigma against if you send your kids in regular clothes that the other kids might judge them. So the school that we work at is an elementary school, and it's kindergarten, or preschool they call it, through 5th grade. And it's kind of interesting because we have 18-year-olds in 5th grade. It's really common that kids repeat grades many, many times, or they don't start school till later for different reasons. So it's not traditional in the sense of all very little kids, you know, but yeah.
Why Nicaragua? I mean, you both grew up in Minnesota. What was it that led you to this particular place in the world that needs so much attention?
So why Nicaragua was the question. I had been studying Spanish for a very long time. I had studied abroad twice in Spain. I had taken a vacation in Costa Rica, and I really liked it. And then I found a volunteer program there and got to go volunteer for 1 month just to kind of test it out, see if I liked it. And during that month, I saw a school be open in a neighborhood that had never had a school before. And I got to be there when the kids went to school for the first time, and every day they were waiting outside of the gate and would run down to us. And I kind of was impressed, number one, that $10,000 could build a school in Nicaragua. I had no idea. 3 classrooms cost $10,000 to build. And then I was really shocked when the Nicaraguan teachers came in, and because I thought, good, finally these kids can go to school, you know, this is really progress. But then I saw the quality of education that they would be receiving, and it just kind of left me thinking as a teacher, obviously. So then I worked in Minneapolis public schools with strictly Latino communities and became a literacy specialist and learning how to keep the attention of a group in Spanish, you know, how to be a good, fun preschool teacher in Spanish. And then we went back and haven't looked back since.
My story's a little bit different. I didn't speak any Spanish when I left. I just went with her. She had invited me, and I said, yeah, I want to learn Spanish. Before I was a chef, so I was in the kitchen all the time and had a lot of Latino employees and wanted to pick up another language, and I just ended up falling in love with the country, and there's no looking back. So I saw a hand back there.
Since you've made these improvements with the children's learning, how have the parents shown greater interest in their children's education?
Sure. Well, I have an example. I do a lot of art with kids, and I feel that it is a learning experience because a lot of them have never had the opportunity to do art. We did leaf rubbings one day, and we went out and collected leaves and talked about different types of leaves and came back, and I put the leaf under the piece of paper and used the crayon to go over it to make the imprint, and all of them were just staring at me like I was a magician. They couldn't figure out how it happened. They were looking at the other side of the paper and trying to figure out, how did this happen? And one child went home and got their parent, and the parent came back and was just as amazed by it, thinking and asking, like, how did you do this? Can we do this? And so I feel like that is a good example that this happens a lot, that a lot of the work that we do is reflect, the kids go home and talk to their parents, and their parents come back and want to also, you know, learn from it.
I would say I'm really, really overall impressed with the parents and the kind of parental involvement I've gotten. First, I was doing a lot of it on my own, really, you know, and I realized I have to use the parents. They're the most important teacher to any kid that they will ever have. So another part that we'll be doing this year is doing these parent nights. All the schools have parent night and things, and we'd like to go and share some tips. I had 2 kids who were struggling to learn how to write their name. They were very high energy kids. They didn't want to sit down, and I couldn't force it. So I sent them each home with a dry erase board and a dry erase marker, and asked the parents, will you just work with them a little bit here and there, not as a punishment, only when it's fun, you know? 2 weeks later, all of the kids could write their names. So that means that these parents, who a lot of these parents don't know how to read themselves because they didn't have the chance to go to school, have stepped up to the plate and have really helped me in what I'm trying to do and helped their students also. And then right when we were leaving, we really saw a lot of support from the community. One of the grandmothers brings me 2 mangoes every day to school. We got a lot of really nice parting gifts. It was like mangoes and cantaloupes, and they know we're coming back in 2 months. And we also got 2 handwritten notes from parents saying, you know, thank you so much for all the patience that you show our children and for everything you've done, and be careful out there in the big world. We hear it's dangerous. And it's so funny because everyone here tells us to be so careful in Nicaragua because they heard that was dangerous.
I was just going to ask you, what's the unemployment like? What kind of jobs do the parents have? Is it agrarian? What's going on economically?
Yeah, so I mean, employment is a tricky subject in Nicaragua. A lot of unemployment. I think it's something like 60%, but I have no idea where these statistics come from. A lot of people are what we would call underemployed because very few people work 40 hours a week. If you do have a full-time job, you work 6 days a week. A lot of families are caretakers where we live. We live on a beautiful lake, and a lot of foreigners have houses there that they're never at, so they pay families to take care of and maintain the properties. Also, tourism is a huge industry right now in Nicaragua. Everyone's trying to learn English, and as the tourism keeps picking up, a lot of people work in the market. A lot of independent business owners actually is what we were like entrepreneurs, you know, you pick a product and you start selling it.
Talk a little bit about that. I mean, there's like one guy in the market who sells toothpaste, and he walks around and he's yelling, "Toothpaste, toothpaste, $1, toothpaste." And then you have someone else who's selling fruit, or someone else who's selling baskets, and construction. All construction is still all manual labor. All of the roads are laid by hand. Everything, it's something else. So. Just one second. If you have more questions, you can check out our website.
Oh, will you be able to say if people have additional questions?
Sure, we'll hear you.
Okay, perfect. Did you one quick last thing?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say, you can check out our website if you have more questions or you want to stay in contact with us when we're gone, or send us an email, futureRootsProject.com. Oh yeah, and we're looking for clubs to Skype with us in Nicaragua. So if your club has a technology person who's interested in arranging that with us, we would love to like check in with you guys once a month, every other month or something. I think that would be really, really fun. So if there are any other questions, we've got... After. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so in appreciation for you need to stay speaking formally, you're not done. Okay, in appreciation for your speaking presentation today, a donation to End Polio will be made in your name to End Polio Now, which is the signature project of the Rotary International. And in about 1980, there were about 400,000 cases of polio in the world. And that's when Rotary decided to join with other organizations to lead the eradication of polio in the world. So we are so close to eradicating this devastating disease. In 2015, we've had 27 cases that have been limited to 2 countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan. So success over polio will help fuel the energy for what people in the world can do when we work together. And so I have a certificate for each of you in appreciation for speaking today, and I have an End Polio Now pin for each of you. Thank you so much.